Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. It is the end of January 2025. Super cold here where I live, but pretty decent month overall. My wife and I guess whole family, daughter and I, had a no-spend month for January, and we were thinking that we'd have a pretty good savings month, but the results are pretty interesting, honestly. So we'll get to that just in a second. But for January, my income was $13,600. I paid $3,200 in taxes, $800 in my 401k, which is 6%, and I get the 6% match from my company. 534 in the HSA, and so that should put us right at 8,550 for the year, which I believe is the max that you can do for the HSA. So we've been maxing HSA now for probably 5-6 years at least. My company gives me, I think, $1,300 a year, which they just gave to me this month as well. So insurance went up a little bit from last year. You can see it was $345 last year, moved up to $353. Something to note there too. For 2025, my company allows me to sell a week worth of my vacation days to pay for my insurance. And so it's still taken from my paycheck, but I actually make extra income. So you can see I make a little bit more now than what I did last month in December. So I'm making $260-ish a month more. So that's essentially the maximum days, 5 days that I could sell for the insurance. So my insurance is really about $100 a month now, but that's why the increase in pay here. For March, I should actually get another pay increase in March, and I'm assuming that'll be 2.5%, which will put me at like 182,000 roughly gross salary. So for my wife, no income this month. She is an adjunct professor at a university, and so they are shut down throughout the winter or for the month of January. So she's back teaching now, and she'll get her 2 paychecks in February. Rental properties, honestly, pretty boring, which is a good thing, I suppose. I have a couple repairs that I need to make. They're nothing urgent, but it'll probably cost me $500 or $600 over the next couple months. I'm going to do the work myself, as I always do. But this month I did not have any expenses on the rental properties. They just paid rent, made about $700 or $800 this month, so profit. So 2,525 came in from those, and I will say this year we do have to increase the rents. Property taxes are skyrocketing in my area. Just for reference, back here in, let's see, probably 2020, I would say property taxes on these places were about $1,000 a year. And so now in 2025, they're about 3,500 a year. So they've 350% increase from 5 years ago. So just yeah, it's crazy, and they just keep jacking the property taxes up and up and up. Thankfully, insurance has stayed about the same on those two. Extra income. So I did have a little extra income this month as well as in December. So I have usually through the fall, spring, and summer, I will cut firewood and then stack up firewood for the like throughout the year, let it dry, and then I'll sell it in December and January. This year I had probably 25 ricks, or what would that be, 8 1/3 full cords of wood. So I sold everything that I could this year. A lot of it was not dry, so I probably have another, like, I don't know, 12 or 13 face cords or ricks out there to sell. It's just they're not quite dry yet. So that'll be extra for next year. But anyway, I sold probably 12 or 13 ricks this year for $880. So in my area, you can see I sold, if I deliver, it's $100 a rick, which you can see up here. So I delivered, it looks like 4 ricks. And then if someone comes, picks them up, it's $80 a rick. So I had 2, 3, 4, 5. I sold 6 here that were just pickups. So 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so I sold exactly 10 ricks in what month is it? January. So gross income this month, $17,066. Take home pay was $12,087. And so again, I've just charted everything here at the bottom. So the total for the years right here. I wrapped up last year with 213,000. It should be probably 230 this year would be my guess. I should have a massive, massive bonus coming in March. I think it's going to be 55,000, maybe $60,000 before tax. So probably 35, 40,000 after tax. So lifetime totals, some interesting things. I've crossed the $1.1 million mark in gross income, and it's it's honestly it's crazy. So taxes, I've paid $251,000 in taxes which again, that's absolutely insane to me, I guess. But 401k, I put 115,000 in my 401k, 7,500 in the HSA, and you can see the rest of the numbers down here at the bottom. So these are our lifetime totals. Just a fun game that I play with myself is these numbers over here. So our first net worth goal was our total take-home pay. We should have $1.4 million. You can see at the title of this video, we have more than 1.4 now. The second goal is to have 1.8, which is essentially everything that we've made. So 401ks, employee stock purchase plans, HSA accounts, take home pay, rental property, all that stuff added up together. So we've made 1.8 million total in our lifetime. And then the third goal is total gross, like everything that we've ever made is 2,141,000. So we are approaching closer and closer on this $1.8 million mark. But nevertheless, net worth, January 2025. Everything else, same old story that you hear every month. So properties went up 2% in value, like they always do. I think these are relatively close still. In my area, housing has slowed down just a little bit since interest rates are still 7% right now. Um, yeah, so I would say house number 5, it may be worth 215 or 220, and I think 192 to 200 is probably right for house 7. Um, these next two are almost impossible to value. I think it's pretty close. This is probably right, just about right. Our house that we live in right now, 774,000. This one's tricky. So the land 8 is 66 acres. It's probably it's hard to say. It could be 400,000. It could be 500 or 600,000. It really just depends who would purchase it and what the intended use would be. If they put a neighborhood in here, this may be, this could be 1.2 million, honestly. I've seen places go for $30,000 or 35,000 an acre. And so some quick math with that, if we had 66 acres at 35,000 an acre, that would be $2.3 million if we sold the 66 acres here. So assuming I sold it to somebody that was just going to move into the house that we live in, it would be probably 404,000. And then no changes with the vehicles. All that stuff is pretty much the same old stuff. 2013 Honda, it's a Honda Fit. It has, I think, 103,000 miles on it. So all of our cars are low miles. My truck is at 8,000. The 2018 Honda Civic is at 33 or 35,000. And then the Honda Fit is at 103,000. I am thinking of selling the Honda Fit, honestly. It's somewhere between 7 and 8,000 is probably what it's worth. We just don't drive it as much as what we thought. Um, Initially, it's a nice car, runs really well, but that may be something that we see in the next few months. Again, it doesn't change the picture that much for me, but it's kind of just sitting in the garage collecting dust at the moment. We drive it every once in a while, but again, we have multiple other vehicles, so we could just get rid of this and someone else could enjoy it. Okay, so for investments, kind of a crazy month in the stock market. I guess we were up and then we were way down, then we were back up, and then now we're down a little bit. So I think politically, things are changing, and the market doesn't know whether things are going to be better or worse. There's the deep seek AI stuff coming out, and so I don't know, it swings left and right all the time. So essentially where we're at today, I got 13 or 1600 from my employer for the HSA. Again, I put $300 or $400 in there this month. So that is pretty much all invested in stocks at the moment. And so we're at 80,000 in there. And then for my 401k, I was up about $4,000, almost to 300,000. A large portion of this, probably 230,000, is in money market accounts right now. And I've been doing some changes, transferring things over. I had old 401ks, which like 170,000 was in an old 401k. And so just in these past couple days, I've been rolling stuff over into Roth IRAs and rollover IRAs. So I've gotten most of that done. And so yeah, things should hopefully pick back up there. I guess we did fairly well. For my wife's, this is just I would say, stagnant account. She does not work for an employer anymore who contributes to her 401k. And so it's kind of, I think she left her job in, let's see, it was like March roughly of last year, 2024. And so she had 220 and she has not contributed any more, and she's at 262. So it's kind of interesting to compare hers and mine, where I'm still contributing and hers is kind of still keeping up with mine. We need to do the same with hers. Hers are in 403Bs and 457Bs, which we need to roll over as well. So that is on my list to do in the next couple days. But overall, market went up pretty good, almost $10,000, pretty close. Again, I don't know what this is going to do for the next year. I'm in a pretty safe state for my investments. I think we're too heavy on investments. If you look at our whole portfolio and what our age is, 637,000 at 30 years old. And so if I average a 10% rate of return for the next 35 years, I should be somewhere around 35 million in just stocks when I go to retire, which again, I don't know what inflation's going to look like for the next 35 years, but that should be plenty. So an idea I've been floating around, these past few videos, I've floated around a lot of ideas for investment accounts here. I A couple months ago, I thought about doing a 401k where I could purchase real estate within the 401k. With a company like Equity Trust, you can do stuff like that. My research turned out it's just extremely complicated, and I would say labor intensive to operate like that within your 401k. So for me, too much trouble for what it's worth, I'd say. I think last month I mentioned or teased a little bit that I may consider pulling money out of these investment accounts, and I can explain that a little bit further. So probably 95,000 of the 637,000 is in a Roth IRA or just a general Roth 401k accounts. And so that $95,000 are contributions that I've made, which are not taxable even if I pull them out. And you can pull your Roth contributions out without penalty. You cannot pull out the interest that the Roth account has made. And again, I'm not a financial planner, so of course consult with your financial planner. So that is my plan, I believe. I'm still thinking about that, but there's probably 95,000 here that I could pull out and just put towards house number 8 here. Um, the reason being, house number 8 is at a 5.25% interest rate. And if you look back just a little bit, we were somewhere around 684,000 as of maybe a year and a half ago. So we've knocked this down a ton. But our payment is $2,813, I believe, every month for house number 8, and then $1,591 for the land here. And so essentially one of my paychecks every month goes to paying off these two, land 8 and house number 8, the house we live in now. And so if I had this completely paid for, essentially my wife and I could almost save $10,000 a month on average. And so we could buy a new rental property probably once a year at the beginning, every single year. And then as we built up and built up, we could probably buy 2 or 3 a year. And so that essentially for me is another form of retirement. It's not in a retirement account, but one of my goals is to retire, hopefully by 35 or 40. And to get there, I need like retirement income that I can make right now. Right. So this money that I have in my investment accounts really doesn't do me any good until I'm 65 because they're all in 401ks. And so I need to build up income that is right now. And so to do that, rental properties is probably my best bet, and I'll have the stocks as a safety net. So going back, this 95,000 that I have in these investment accounts, I believe I'm going to withdraw that and then put it towards house number 8 and get it to around 300,000. I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, but it seems to make financial sense to me. It essentially moves paying off house number 8 up a full year. And then I'm still obviously contributing, I think, $30,000 a year to just investments, just the stock portfolio, and I do have a pension with my employer as well. So we should definitely be set at age 65. Even if you throw the real estate out the window, um, we'll have way more than what we need. So I think that's the plan. That makes sense to me. It moves our rental property purchasing up probably a full year and gets rid of some of the risk that I carry right now, which is not a ton, but moving this down to 300,000 probably puts me at a year and a half to 2 years of having this completely paid off. And then there are some things once I get this down to 100,000. I can really, really make it go fast. And so this year we should be paying off about 100,000 towards house number 8. We should get this down to 295, and again, if I put 95,000 towards it, that would bring us down to 200, and then probably one more year after that, and then I'd have it completely knocked out. So maybe 2 years away there. But okay, that's one topic. We'll set that aside. So still thinking about, pulling money out of the Roth. Of course, please comment below if you have a different opinion. I love all opinions down below, even if you completely disagree with everything I've said or my strategy that I proposed here. So I love the feedback. So we did minimum payments on these three loans right here. Again, all of these first two are 30 years at like 3.25%. So I'm not too worried about them. Land number 8 is at 3.7%, and it's on a 15-year. So we're knocking it out fast. A little over $1,000 a month is going to principal. And then house number 8. Here's the thing. January, we usually do a no spend January. And I know a lot of people do no spend Novembers. For us, like we buy Christmas presents and stuff in November, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense for us to do it in November. So January is when we did it this month or this year. And we actually did phenomenal. I would say, like, we did not go to restaurants. I don't even think I went to a gas station all month. I've been working from home, so I've really had no need to purchase gas. Um, we had so we can, on a perfect month with no extra income. So let me jump back here to income. um, on a perfect month like this with take home pay 8,600, we can probably save $3,000. 4,500 of this goes to mortgages, and then 1,500 of it is probably just bare necessities that we need to live. And so the first thing that killed us this month was my wife did not make any extra income for January, which was kind of to be expected. So she should be making about $1,000 a month going forward for the rest of the year as she adjunct teaches. So that was the first thing that hurt us a little bit. The second thing was our house insurance is due every January. And so that was about $1,200 that took from us. And then we probably spent a total of, I would say, maybe $800 on like electric bills, water bills, food, all that stuff. Maybe $800 is what it takes to keep us afloat if we're not crazy. And then the third thing that got us was at the very end of the month here. I talked last year, our last couple of videos. We're in a program where we get paid to have like raw land and take care of our raw land. It's called the Natural Resource Conservation Service. You can look into it. I'm sure there's videos online. They pay you to kill off invasive species and help the native habitat on your property. So year one, they paid us $28,000, and it cost us $15,000 worth of work to meet the obligations within the program. So we were plus 13,000. The tricky thing is, I'm glad that we have a safety net. You really, really have to plan with this. And so we paid, it was 1225 this month in January to do the work for the next year. So in May is the end of our second year of the program, and we'll get paid about 14,000 this year from the NRCS. And it'll cost us about $6,000 worth of work to get that payment. And so what happens is I'll spend $1,200, $1,200, $1,200, maybe $2,000, whatever it takes to get to the 6,000. You do all the work up front or pay for the work, and then the NRCS comes and inspects your property, make sure that you're at the certain percentages that they want you to be at, and then they write you a check for about 14,000 or whatever your contract says with them. And so it on a monthly basis, like in January here, it looks like I'm very negative. Like we literally just barely broke even. We saved $300 and got ourselves back to 40,000. Um, we actually put $32 extra is what we saved over this 40,000. So I had to pay an extra $1,200 to the NRCS for the work that they did this month, which basically pretty much consumed our whole entire paycheck. So it's interesting. Some people can save, and every month they're able to put a consistent amount towards their goal or whatever debt, whether they're saving or paying something off. For us, it's a little different. We'll have some months like let's say March. I'll go back to income here. So like in March, I'll get a massive bonus of $60,000, $60,000, and then all of that basically goes to paying off the house. So we get a massive amount in March. We should be able to get a tax return soon, hopefully at the end of February, which I'm estimating is about 10,000. Should be what we get back. And so our income is kind of irregular. We pay for some things up front, and then we wait 6 or 9 months, and that money stockpiles, and then we get a large chunk back in. And Yeah, it's a little bit confusing. So we technically did really well this month, but on paper it doesn't look like we did that well. And so we'll have another really good month, I'll say in May or June when we get paid from the NRCS. We should be able to put, $13,000, $14,000 towards the house again. But the goal this year is to get this down below 300,000, and I think I can do that by December of this year. So just wrapping up here, I know I'm extremely long-winded, but checkings account just sitting at 40,000. Again, we saved 40,000, $32. So I put $32 towards house number 8, which is nothing crazy. So basically, it was a wash this month in terms of saving. February should be a pretty good month. I bet we'll put $1,000 or $2,000 towards it, depending if we get our tax return. If we get our tax return, it should be maybe 12,000. Rental checkings account, honestly, very good month. Almost saved $1,000, which is astronomical, I would say. Usually it's $700 or $800, and we had no expenses whatsoever. I did have to go over there in the winter and do some work, but just sweat equity basically. I didn't have to pay for anything or buy anything to fix the stuff. So at the end of January, net worth is sitting at $1,642,078, and so that's an increase of about 16-ish thousand dollars compared to last month. So not the best month for us, but just slightly falling behind what our pace is. And so this number here, our goal pace, our goal is to have $4 million by 40 years old. And so we're 30 right now, so we still have 9.5 years to go. So this is the pace that I would need to be at to have 4 million by 40. Again, I think we're going to be at 6 or 7 million, most likely, is what it's looking like. But we're $490,000 ahead of that goal pace of having 4 million by 40 years old. So yeah, that is January in a nutshell. Honestly, pretty boring month. I'm going to work every day, just working from home mostly. Real estate agent wise, I do have a few things in the works, believe it or not, which I didn't talk about earlier, but just very high level. I should have something close in March, and that should be. It's hard to say, somewhere between $5,000 and a $15,000 commission in March. So March is looking to be pretty good. I have two things, a house that's going to list probably in the spring, and then I have another client that's going to buy a house in probably April, May, or June. And so that should probably be 4,000 or 5,000 between the two of those. So real estate business is picking up a little bit, but man, it's a brutal business. I don't know if any of you are real estate agents out there, but yeah, 3 transactions just to make $8,000 or $9,000. That's rough. So I'll just keep chugging away at that though, and keep everybody updated. If I can get house number 8 paid off, that is, I don't know what else more I could want at that point. So if you made it to the end of the video, thank you guys so much for sticking around with me. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Last month's, next month's videos are on your screen now, and as always, we will see you in the next video.